It's time to dive beneath the surface and into the minds and hearts of your favorite celebrities and pop culture icons. Welcome to Up and Adam.
Hi, guys. Welcome back. Let me make sure all of this is on. Okay. Guys, I just want to say thank you so much for all of the love this past week. This has been, it's a holiday week, so we should be spreading love. So just thank you. I haven't been feeling absolutely 100%. And a lot of you guys pick up on that, which is kind of overwhelming, only in the sense of, I just can't even believe you guys see that. A lot of you guys were messaging me saying, I hope you feel better. It doesn't seem like you're on top of your A game, and I apologize, but Jason and I are just chilling around for the holidays, and yes, just trying to feel better. Nothing serious, but just a little under the weather, that's all. Guys, before we get started, I wanted to say, if you haven't already, please go ahead, hit that like button. Let's get some more eyes on this, and let's jump right into this recap of the Real Housewives of Atlanta. I'm also going to go ahead and drop the call-in link so you guys can start calling in whenever you want as I'm going through the different housewives, I guess. So guys, we start off with this episode, and Porsha is protesting again. She is putting herself out there, putting herself on the front lines, and she's doing what she feels like she needs to do. So good for Porsha. But this time she got arrested again. She got arrested for obstructing a highway and disorderly conduct in the second degree. Now, this isn't the only thing that's kind of a negative for Porsha here, which is not a negative to protest. That's not what I'm saying. But she not only got arrested this episode, but she also shares the fact that her and Dennis have split. So there's a lot happening in Porsha's world. You know, it was interesting, guys, because a lot of people were commenting on these different videos and in different blogs too, saying, was she protesting and trying to get the attention off of her split from Dennis? But I've said the same thing since day one, and I maintain my position on this. I feel like you can't take away what Porsha is doing from her. No matter what, she's putting herself on the front lines. She's putting herself out there, and she's out there protesting. There's so many other housewives and so many other public figures who weren't doing the same thing when they had the opportunity to. So regardless if the reason is because she wants to follow in her grandfather's footsteps, or if she wants to kind of get the attention off of her and her fiance split, it doesn't matter. The point is she's doing it. She did it. She's out there. And like I said, you can't take that away from her. We also see Porsha, her sister Lauren, and Tanya, Sam reunite this episode. They reunited during quarantine, COVID, or whatever is going on with that at this point in time in the episode. When I say that, I mean, I don't know when this episode was shot, like what month this was. So they were obviously able to get together, get in the car, and go to a pool party. Well, kind of a pool party. It was more like a pool get together for Fallon, Gobaria. Guys, at first when I saw this girl, I was like, wow, she's beautiful. She has a big house. I think she might be a shoo-in for next season. Maybe we're just trying to get introduced to her. And then it took me like probably about 10 seconds to just be over her. I hate to say that because usually I'm not really judgmental on the new women, but maybe we can even get her on one day. I'm not sure. But for Fallon, it seemed like she was trying really hard. She had her husband out there waiting and kind of waiting on them, turning on the hot tub if you missed the episode. And she was pretty much just saying how she's the queen of the house. You saw her help cleaning up after them. And she was like, Porsha, you want some hookah? She knew exactly who to kiss up to in this episode. And it seems like almost like Giovanna Mom plays her. Sorry. It seemed like she was trying to secure some sort of spot or attention. It seems like also Latoya Ali is doing a little bit better of a job than her at doing that. That's my biggest question to you guys, though. I wanted to know, if you watch the episode and you watch how Fallon interacts with the women, do you feel like she's trying really hard to join into the cast? And sometimes, guys, it reads, especially on screen when they are trying too hard. It reads, we can see it, and we don't necessarily love it. It kind of goes back to I'm that, and you guys know who I'm talking about. But before we move on to Kenya and Latoya, I'm going to bring up one person to just chime in on Porsha, Tanya, Lauren, and Fallon. Hi, V. And guys, 100 in the room, go ahead, hit that like button. Hi, V.
Hey, what's going on?
How are you?
I'm okay. I mean, I like Fallon, but yeah, you're right. She's putting on for the cameras.
Okay. So
She is
should we
putting
give her a
on.
chance though? Because this was technically of what we know, this was her only time filming with them. So she might relax.
Yes, I'll give her a chance. Just like we have to, we just have to give them a chance. Like this is the first time she's getting on the camera, so she probably doesn't know what to expect. So I guess I'm gonna give her some time to like, because if Porsha likes her, then I'm sure she's a cool girl. I mean,
Okay.
I trust Porsha's judgment when it comes to these girls.
Hey, listen, you're putting a lot on Porsha right now. I don't know if I would necessarily say I trust. This is also the same girl that dragged somebody down the
That's
back of
true.
an alley and almost beat the crap out of Kenya Moore.
In a whole like Christmas outfit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a mood. That should have been a meme if we would have got it on camera.
Right? Oh my gosh. Yes. But yeah, Latoya and Kenya, they are just like they're weird friends. I don't know how to like explain it. They're like a weird duo there. They were having like too much fun at Kenya's house, and it was just an odd like, because it seems like Latoya is kind of pushing Kenya to move on faster than she's ready to,
Right.
and because Latoya is ready to get out there and have fun, even though she's married, and it's just like this.
I
They're
don't know
weird.
if Latoya is definitely. I don't know if she's the best influence for Kenya, but real quick, I want to get to that. But I do want to ask one question because I'm reading all of the comments about this Porsha putting herself on the front lines for a second time, and people are being pretty ruthless about this. And I don't feel the same way a lot of the other people feel about her trying to take the attention away from her split with Dennis, because in the same episode she addressed her split with Dennis and how they got to this place while also being arrested for the second time. How could that be a deflection?
I honestly, I can see it as a deflection, but also when she was explaining it, she definitely said, okay, she has this part of her life. Okay, the protest, then she has her relationship, she has her family life, she has her daughter, time with her daughter. So she splits herself into so many different people to be, everywhere at one time. So I can see where, where you see it as, she isn't deflecting from it. It's just not a part of her life anymore. So she doesn't really, she's not putting any more energy into it.
Okay. And real quick, I do want to say, Getatua said, I do not think Fallon is trying hard. Latoya is already doing that. Fair. And Deshaun says, Latoya needs to stop coming for Drew. Drew is more interesting, more accomplished, and prettier. Just
I
saying.
mean, they had a whole segment sitting there talking about Drew, and I'm like, y'all don't even know her. Like you just have such. I hate the surface opinion thing. Like you can't base some like off of you met her and you already had like all type of shade to throw at her, and she didn't have two words come out of her mouth. Like you don't know what's going on. I don't like. It's weird to me, and like you could tell that Drew and Kenya are gonna have a back and forth. So I'm pretty sure that's why Kenya's going in on her confessionals. But yeah, to me it was weird for them to like sit there and talk about this girl. Like, why is she on your brain so much? Like that's
Because they're
crazy.
reaching.
They are reaching. Like they're reaching. Like she's like, oh, you had these top hairdressers and makeup artists. Why couldn't they give you a better wig? I'm like, are you kidding me?
She also has a boot on her leg. She has marital problems. She has her mom at home right under her wing. She has 3 kids at home. It's like, okay, give the girl a break.
And she's like, oh, I'm not a wig person. Latoya says, I'm not a wig person. Okay, that's you. Like, what do you like? Y'all don't get mad at Cynthia because she's always has on wigs. Okay, like y'all don't.
That's true. And I'm not throwing any shade here at all, but if anybody is notorious for having one of the worst wig dues, it would probably be, and I know people are going to rip me apart for this, but it's Real Housewives of Potomac, Karen Huger, and she finally got it right.
That wig shift, yes, shifted a little bit.
Yeah. Okay, so real quick, going back to Kenya and Latoya, and guys, 185 in the room, go ahead, hit that like button. Let's see if we can get to 250. But and I also dropped the link if anybody wants to call in and join V and I. But for Kenya and Latoya, what I found interesting was when they sat down and they're taking these silly photos and she's trying to get Kenya on a dating app. She's obviously pushing for Kenya to be in the same place in her marriage that Latoya is in hers, because Latoya has already said, I'm in a separation. I can do what I want. And she very much so obviously plans to do that. right? But then she starts coming for Drew again when they sit on the couch, and Kenya asks her, you know, what did she say? She was like, are you upset about what Drew said to you? And then Latoya looked at her and she's like, you know, about the vows, what vows did you take? And Latoya kind of brushed it off. And she could have taken that moment to even pipe up this a little bit more and acted like she was angry and created more of a conflict. But she didn't take the bait. Kenya was trying, though.
Yes, I see that too. I mean, she pushed it off to the side, but that was another reason Kenya was trying to like, create conflict because Kenya already said last episode when they were at Lake Bailey, oh, I don't think they're going to be friends for too much longer. Latoya and Drew, she said that about them to Cynthia, and you're actually creating the narrative for them not to be friends when you bring up things like that. Like you want her to say something, negative about, just her opinion. You guys are all having this conversation. If she was going to say something negative about it, she could have said it to her at Lake Bailey when they had the conversation.
I agree. It's almost like she's putting a producer's cap on and she's trying to pre-call exactly who's going to get along and who's not going to get along on season 13.
Yeah, I mean, I expect it from Kenya. That's one thing I expect. I don't expect anything less from her.
Okay. All right. And then real quick, I'm going to, before I drop you down just to finish off the rest of this, and then I'll bring you back up, I'm curious too, when they sat there and made the comment about Drewisha being the name of Drew's wig, a lot of people were annoyed by that because they said that, sometimes people have to wear wigs and sometimes, people have their own feelings. If you were Drew Sidora and you were watching in that moment, would you brush that off or do you feel like that would definitely get under your skin?
It wouldn't get under my skin because everybody wears wigs and honestly, we all name them. Like I have wigs and I name them, but she just was trying to be shady. Just take it as the shade and you know what you were coming to sign up for. I know she's not going to take it as anything. Like honestly, it was shady, but it wasn't anything more than that, I don't think.
And if that's the worst that they have on you, she's doing just fine to start off her first season.
Amen. I can definitely say the same.
All right. Well, V, I'm going to drop you down just for a minute, and then I'll bring you back up. I also have Michael and Deshaun in the room, so I'm going to bring up a few of us.
All right. I'll be here listening.
All right. All right, guys, 244 in the room. That's awesome. Let's see if we can hit 300, and let's move on to Cynthia and Mike really quick before we bring up some more callers. So Cynthia and Mike are arguing completely about this wedding, about the location, about the size, even about the date, 10, 10, 20. She even had it on her earrings. Those earrings were massive. Kind of sort of obnoxious, but I like them, and I love Cynthia Bailey, so I'm here for it. But they seem like they're totally not on the same page. When I'm sitting here watching this episode with my fiance, we both agreed, and I'm curious what you guys think, that this was just such an obnoxious argument. For Mike, he obviously just wants to get married. He doesn't care where, doesn't matter. He wants to get married to Cynthia. He feels like nobody remembers the wedding. They just remember the couple. For Cynthia, she's like, no, I've done this. I've been married. I want my dream wedding. I want my big dream, fabulous, amazing wedding. And she's pretty much saying it without saying it, but she wants something big this season for the cameras. I'm sure she's promised the producers in advance last season, season 12, before we knew that coronavirus was going to hit or that we were going to go through a global pandemic, that she was going to give them a wedding of the century. Obviously it wasn't going to be like Nene's wedding that got its own complete spinoff or feature, but it was going to be a big wedding. Now, I'm sure all of the pressure is kind of on her shoulders because she's like, what do we do now? For Mike, he's completely content with having this wedding in the backyard with Lake Bailey or at Lake Bailey. When her sister is there, Mel's not really taking Cynthia's side, and that's kind of making her mad. When they're talking in the car, though, Mike starts putting words into Cynthia's mouth, and you can see where they are having a little bit of communication conflict here, which brings me to one simple point. In this episode, we see where Cynthia sits down with Candy and Kenya, and they start talking about the prenuptial agreement. They haven't gotten this prenuptial agreement figured out yet, but this is something that even Kenya and Candy are both saying, no, you need to address this now and get the elephant out of the room because this can cause a lot of problems. For Cynthia, she's like, and she seems like a little bit of a pushover, but we'll have to see what happens. I don't know if she's going to get the prenup that she's telling everybody that she is, or if she's going to end up without one. I'm curious, but I'm going to bring up another opinion. Hi, Deshaun.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Good, good. Did you watch the episode?
I did.
All right.
Oh my goodness. I love the show. I love the show and I love the ladies, but there's just so much messiness going on.
Okay. So I know that, I've already talked about Porsha and Latoya and Kenya, but for this Cynthia situation with Mike, a lot of people, and including myself a little bit, kind of feel like Cynthia and Mike are pushing this kind of hard to have more of an interesting storyline when it's really not that big of a deal. If I were getting married, I would just care about the simple fact of getting married. I wouldn't really care about having this big, massive, grand wedding at this venue. Or maybe that's because I'm not a woman who's dreamed of my wedding my whole life. Can you help me get some clarification on this?
Sure. Well, my thought on that is, I agree that they are kind of making it more of a big deal than it is for the storyline for the show. I don't think it's that big a deal. For me, I tend to agree with Cynthia a little more, because I get where she's coming from with wanting all the guests and just her big day.
Right.
But I don't know, with the times and everything the way that they are, I guess the main thing is just them two being together, getting married, and just loving each other. So, why not just have something small, and then I guess, you can do something bigger at a later time.
Right. Why not have a small ceremony at Lake Bailey on 10/10/20, and then the following year on 10/10/20 do a massive vow renewal that actually represents the wedding that you never got?
Yeah, and then it's a win-win.
10/10/21, I mean.
Yeah, then it's a win for both of them.
Right. Okay. And then my other question for you is this whole prenuptial agreement. I totally agree with Kenya and Candy, especially when she's securing that Real Housewives of Atlanta check every single season. We don't know how much longer she has it, but I mean, we don't know that for any housewife. But the simple fact is, she probably needs a prenup. I know Mike Hill has his own money, but she wants to protect her assets, her Bailey wine cellar, Lake Bailey, and she's also sending her daughter through college. Do you think she'll end up getting the prenup, or that she did end up getting it?
You know what? I think she's smart business. She's a smart businesswoman. And I think that she went ahead and got it.
Okay.
Now I could be wrong on that, but I think that would have been the smart thing to do, just to have yourself covered in case things go bad or things don't work out. You still have everything that you worked for, or whatever. You guys can, you can work out the details, but you have something in place.
Right, and I don't think that's a bad thing to structure exactly like God forbid something happens to us, especially because you are writing a memoir of how many infidelities you've had in the past. I think it's very appropriate to outline exactly what is Cynthia's and what is Mike's.
I agree. Yeah, I think so also.
Okay. Well, Deshaun, I really appreciate you calling in. I'm going to drop you down for a minute and move on to the next topic. But if you're around, I'll bring you back up, and I'm going to bring up Michael and V as well.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. And Dana, thank you so much for the super chat, super sticker. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, and big love to everyone. Big love back to you, Dana. Thank you so much. And thank you for always checking up on me on Instagram. I appreciate you. Dana's like family, everybody. Actually, Dana is kind of family. Not kind of. She is family. Let me go ahead and drop this down. All right. So let's keep it moving, guys. 316 in the room. Let's see if we can hit 350. And let's go on to Drew Sidora. I have my own feelings about this situation because Drew Sidora sits down with her husband and Ralph is not having it. Ralph's not having Drew's mom. And Drew's mom, obviously, we know she's a pastor or a preacher, pastor. And she's writing a sermon. She's writing a sermon in this episode, and she's titling it Bridle Your Tongue. When she ends up telling them what she's titling it, she looks right at Ralph and kind of makes that eye contact with him. And he's like, "Why are you looking at me for?" And she wanted him to know, because when I'm sitting in my room and you're celebrating your anniversary and I'm supposed to be thinking that you guys are having like a great night and a lovey-dovey moment, and all of a sudden my daughter comes in my room crying, then yeah, I'm going to title my sermon, Bridle Your Tongue. Pretty much is what she was trying to get across to Ralph. But my only point is, listen, for Drew's mom is living under Ralph and Drew's roof. Okay. I'm sure that she is completely capable, especially if she's running a church, of having her own living situation, living in her own place. And I know that they said because of quarantine and coronavirus, she ended up getting stuck with Drew and Ralph, but she seems like she's really overstaying her welcome. Drew and Ralph obviously have enough problems with him disappearing for 3 days and not wanting to explain why he passed 3 to 4 beaches to get to Tampa, and with her not letting this whole thing go. They fight like bulls a little bit, and the mom being there to constantly support Drew's side is a little bit of a problem. Only because Ralph is a man's man. You can totally tell. He wants to handle the finances. He doesn't want you to know where he's at. He wants to keep the cameras on in the house and keep tabs on his wife. And he doesn't want his mother-in-law coaching him on how to be a husband. I can see this completely blowing up in Drew's face, only because when you start adding your in-laws into a marriage or a family situation, they're always going to take the side of the person who they gave birth to, right? I mean, at least I know this. If I brought my mom around and my fiance was, even if I was the biggest jerk to my fiance, my mom would take my side. That's just my mom. That's the relationship that we have. It doesn't make it right by any means at all. But that's just, it is what it is. And for them, they have a little family. So if I were Drew, I would probably just pull my mom off to the side and have the simple conversation of, look, Mom, I think that it's great when you help us out with the kids. I think it's great that you have these opinions, but maybe don't interject so much when it comes to my marriage. Maybe let me work on that myself, and you just be there as a support system, because it's starting to wear on Ralph. But that's not what Drew's doing. Drew's telling Ralph, why don't you just shut your mouth sometimes and receive what other people are saying to you? And she's not attacking you, just receive her. And he's looking like, I'm about to kick your mom out of this house. And I almost don't blame him. I'm going to bring up an opinion really quick. Let's see. Hi, Michael.
Hey, Adam.
How are you?
Agree with you. I'm great. How are you?
Good.
I see Ralph completely differently. I'm pissed off with Ralph.
Yeah?
Like, it's just, oh my God. The first thing is, why? Okay, if Drew is telling the mother stuff, I don't know. I feel like she shouldn't be telling the mother stuff to say back to him. It's not the mother's fault. Drew is telling the mom the stuff.
Right.
It's her fault. One. Two, he's crazy. Why does he have cameras, secret cameras, watching her, taking pictures? Like, does he think she's cheating or something?
No,
And
I
yeah.
totally agree with you on that too. I think that he has some weird tendencies. You can't leave your wife and kids and not expect them to want to know where you're at. And you shouldn't be watching your family, but then they can't know where you're at. That's weird. My only thing is the mom interjecting is that it cannot help this marriage at all.
But I think that's on Drew, because she's the one who needs to tell her, stop talking to Ralph. Stop getting in the marriage. Like, it's if the mom, it's that Mama Joyce thing. If she feels like she could say whatever, she's gonna say whatever. But if Drew says, Mom, you can't do this, then she's not gonna do it.
Okay. I don't know. It seems like Drew's mom has the ability to pop off a little bit. You think that if Drew actually pulled her to the side and said, listen, Mom, I would like for you to be around, be a part of the family, but just try not to interject into my marriage, you think her mom would take that place?
Well, she needs to.
I don't disagree with you.
And then the other thing, there was one, I didn't like how, I don't know, I feel like if Drew stays on 2 or 3 seasons, we're going to see a divorce once that Housewives check starts hitting her account.
I agree with you.
Yeah, I think it's the typical Housewives. Once they get on and they know they secured the bag, it's divorce.
Well, Michael, I totally agree with you, but unfortunately, there's a little bit of mic flack. I'm going to have to drop you down, but please call in again.
Okay, thanks so much. Bye.
Thank you, Michael. All right. Guys, 355 in the room. Let's see if we can hit 400. I just want to say really quick, I agree with Michael on everything that he just said. It's weird. The way that Ralph and Drew's marriage is, it's totally unconventional. The fact that he can't have any tabs put on him, but he can put tabs on his wife and watch them while they're sleeping is a little bit strange. But that still takes me back to the fact that, and it doesn't change this, it's strange that the mom feels like she can constantly interject into the marriage. And it's not only strange, it's just not conducive to a healthy relationship. I'm not changing my stance on that, but I want to hear another opinion. And real quick, Hermione, thank you so much for the super sticker. Adam, Jason, and Pops, I hope you have a blessed festive season. That includes the entire Angel community. Love, peace, and prosperity. Stay safe. Love always. Hermione, we love you. Thank you so much. Hi, V.
Hey, okay.
Okay.
I was thinking, I'm listening about this whole Ralph and Drew, and it's in an unconventional marriage, but for him, he sees himself as the man, and you shouldn't question men, I guess you would say.
Okay.
And I agree with you on her mom being there, right? And for her mom to be a pastor, she should know that, when you go through premarital counseling or even marital counseling, they tell you, like the pastors will tell you, do not bring anyone into your marriage. That's how things get, go awry. Once you start talking to other people about what's going on in your marriage, and you're not actually talking to the person, like your significant other, like Drew said, like they just gloss over whatever argument they had and then they just move on. Like
Until they have the next argument.
Exactly. When you do that, that gives the person that you're telling like all the judgment in the world about your significant other, and they're going to look at them like, that's why you don't bring people into your marriage.
But do you
It's
think
always people that brings it down. It's not going to be, it's, yes, they argue, but once you start listening to other people and they saying other things and, about your marriage, of course, yeah, 100%, they're going to end up getting a divorce because people are in your ear.
Yeah, but do you think that she feels like maybe this rule doesn't apply to her because she is a pastor? Maybe she feels like for her and her daughter, maybe that applies to everybody else, but she's sitting back watching it, so she has a leg to stand on when she kind of butts into their business.
Yes and no. No, because you're a pastor and you tell other couples this, you shouldn't be able to take, and for a fact you're being biased towards your daughter's side because that is your daughter. So you're administering advice to your daughter about things, but you're lashing out on her significant other. So therefore, you can't really say that it doesn't apply to you, because it should apply to you, because you are the person that people go to about their marital issues. And you give unbiased opinions. When it comes to your daughter, it looks like you're giving that biased opinion. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And you aren't listening to, like, you aren't seeing the whole side of things.
Somebody just said, Street said, I'm going to need whoever this man or woman in Tampa that Ralph disappeared with to call into the live.
Yes.
Okay. And she also said the mother feels confident to butt in the relationship because her daughter has no healthy boundaries for her, and her daughter wants her to say all the things that she's afraid to say.
It seems like that, because her mom is going to say whatever, like if she goes to her and says, oh, he's embarrassing me, he's doing this and he's doing that, and Drew doesn't say that to Ralph, her mom is going to be like, you're embarrassing her, you're doing this and you're doing that, because she told her that. And she's too afraid. Like she said it, that he's a man's man. Like he wants things the way he wants things. And so of course she's probably a little intimidated to talk to him about these things.
And I don't know, and I'm just curious. I kind of feel the same way that Michael does about this, but Michael said that he thinks that maybe after 2-3 seasons, if Drew Sidora is able to stay on that long, that she would start securing a whole new paycheck and she might eventually end up leaving Michael. Do you think that would be the case?
I think she actually wants her marriage to work. It seems like she wants it, but I mean, you never know. She may see those checks rolling in, and anything that comes in with it, any endorsements or anything that comes in with that check. So, she might see it as a negative, or see him on television making her look crazy. So, it's always different seeing it on television as a viewer than it is living in it. You know what I mean? You feel, you look at this person a completely different way. So I can understand that.
Okay. All right. And really quick also too, we end up kind of ending this episode off with seeing where we're going in the next episode. And we see that Kenya's talking to Candy, and she thinks that it's a little bit ridiculous now that Porsha has been arrested for the second time. Kenya ended up saying, don't you feel like Portia's just kind of asking for it at this point? Which obviously gets back to Porsha, gets back to her sister Lauren, because they're having an event and they have Cynthia call and disinvite Kenya. What do you think went wrong here?
Exactly what she said. Like, you can't use her activism against her. Like, you can't say that someone is saying, oh, you're putting yourself in a position to get arrested. Yes, Porsha knew there was a possibility of getting arrested, but that doesn't mean that she's doing this all for the right reasons. It isn't all that. Exactly what Porsha said. Her grandfather marched in Selma. She had these. She has these memories of her grandfather, so she's trying to, follow in those footsteps, and because she sees the injustices happening in the world. So you can't use your platform to say that she's doing this all for reality TV when we're watching her and we're actually inspired by this, and you're kind of knocking her down a few notches just because you aren't brave enough to do something like that. You know what I mean? And I like Kenya, don't get me wrong, but it really puts a bad taste in my mouth for her to talk about her activism this way, because we have those people that we have people that are out there that's not doing it for the right reasons, but Portia's putting herself on the line, and she knows she has a daughter at home, and she does this, and she's still in contact. She still talks about this to this day. Like, even when, all this has died down a bit, or, or isn't as prevalent as it was at that time, she's still to this day talking about it. So it's not like, it's weird to me. It's very odd, and I don't like that Kenya was doing that to her. I want to see the whole episode, because they might have, edited it a different way, but
Bravo's been known to do that a time or two, just to be fair.
And they do that for us. Like, that whole, like, the Potomac, it was the Potomac editing when they were on their trip, and they kept making it seem like Ashley was going to tell Candace, and it was like 3 episodes in, and she still hasn't told Candace. So it was like, I got really tired of that. So I know Bravo is good for it. So
okay, so I completely agree with what you're saying on everything when it comes to Kenya and Porsha. You do think potentially, again, we'll have to wait and see if this is just clever editing, but you do think it could possibly be the fact that she made that statement to Candy, and that statement did get back to Porsha or Lauren, and that's why they made that decision? Just to clarify.
Yeah, I'll say yeah. I'll say yeah, because actually Kenya made a note on social media, so it probably was right before that. So yeah, I think so.
Okay. And then also, guys, 425 in the room. That's awesome. Hit that like button. What are we looking forward to most the next episode?
The next episode, I want to see more. I want to see what's going on with this whole Kenya and Porsha thing, because I want to see that's I'm looking forward to seeing that, and I want to know what, like, the actual reason, like the entire reasoning behind her being disinvited. And I see that Bravo's, showing the, breaking the fourth wall, as they say, and showing all this behind the scenes type of stuff that we wouldn't see.
Where she's like, somebody better pay for my hair and makeup.
Yes. So
Kenya is sometimes, she's ballsy sometimes.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I mean, that's.
I mean,
cool.
I like Kenya too,
we love it. Like, we.
But my
watch
only
it.
thing is, what I don't understand is, we're sitting here and we're supposed to be watching you try to navigate this potential divorce. We're supposed to feel bad and sympathetic and try to understand what you're going through and feel for her. But then I don't get when housewives ask that of the viewer, but then they go and they're attacking other housewives who might be in similar situations. Like, Kenya can use this as a bonding moment with Porsha, because even though Porsha didn't marry Dennis, they're going through a breakup too. So she could be trying to bond with her in some capacity instead of kind of trying to rip her down for her activism.
I mean, yeah, but Kenya just doesn't like Porsha. So you're gonna find the bad in everything if you just dislike someone. So they can be going through the same exact thing, but they're gonna find something wrong with one another. You know what I mean? So I just see. I mean, I think that it should be some type of like, oh, let's camaraderie and let's come together and see, talk about everything that's going wrong in our relationships and stuff like that. We love to see that stuff too. Especially to me, it seems just so more like, it seems a little like full circle when you do come back together. Yes, y'all had shade, y'all had bickering fights, this, that, and the other. But when you guys come back together, it does, like, it gives me a little joy in my heart. Yeah, we're gonna have a little shade here and there, but to see them like come back together would be great. But I just know Kenya, and Kenya's not gonna. She needs someone to like beat down on, and she's good with Cynthia. She's good with Candy. I mean,
well, she has Drew,
and she has Drew, but Drew's new, and she's gonna go down on Porsha, like she's gonna go in on Porsha.
Well, I want to double AE. Thank you so much for the super chat, super sticker. They said, however, up and Adam and the rest of the chat, if Porsha is so concerned with Brianna when it comes to violence, why did Porsha rationalize for her friend? She's talking about Monique, who was heavily violent toward Candace. Hashtag hypocrisy. I do want to speak on this really quick because I'm not picking sides at all when it comes to that. I think that both parties were wrong. Monique was wrong for putting her hands on her. Candace is wrong for some of the things that she says on social media when she's not filming on Bravo. She said some vicious comments. Monique, again, was physically violent towards Candace. They are both absolutely wrong. When Porsha went on and made a statement about this whole situation, what she was saying is she felt like Candace and Monique should have had the ability to sit down and not take it to the legal system to settle their problems. But do you find this to be hypocrisy?
No, not at all, because it's two completely different situations. Completely different situations. Breonna Taylor was killed while sleeping in her bed by the police. I mean, it's completely, I don't want to get political, but it's completely different situations. Completely.
Okay. We'll leave it at that. Well, V, as always, it's a pleasure to have you on, and I thank you so much for calling in. We're sending all the love to your beautiful little baby, and I hope that you have a great holiday week.
You as well. Thank you so much, Adam.
Thank you, V. We'll see you later. All right, guys. Thank you so much. We had almost 500 in the room today. That's amazing. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button. I'm still going to keep drinking my Gatorade and feeling better for the holidays. And yeah, you guys are the best. We posted on our community tab today our holiday give back thanks to all of the Angel community giving back to our vets. Almost raised $1,000, so that's amazing. Eventually, we'll have Pops back on to pop off on pop culture, and we'll raise some more money for our veterans. And yeah, let's just keep doing good, guys. Let's keep doing good and sending love and light to everybody who's in this community and who's not. I love you guys so much. Thank you, guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.